country fell asleep, but they scream woke. We're distracted by vaccines and TV shows, politics, celebrity gossip, popular neat quotes. Black lives, white lives, which lives mean most? We only dedicate one day to remember our fallen soldiers, the men and women who died young. But if you come out the closet as Caitlyn Jenner, you're a hero and you get a whole Pride Month. The most dangerous pandemic's propaganda from these clowns. Only mask that's gonna save us is duct tape on their mouths. Don't speak. We don't need to defund police, need to defund the media who lies through their teeth like Big Pharma doesn't cure you, dog, cause every patient that gets cured is a customer lost. And big oil runs the world. The only wars that get fought are with the countries who have natural resources they want. Heard him claiming if a white man braids his hair and likes rap, he's appropriating culture. But if a white man acts too white, he's white trash. He's a racist, he's a bigot, he's a monster. Let's just have the conversation. Not every liberal is dumb, not all Republicans are racist. The government wants everybody fighting with their neighbors cause they know that if we get along, we'll probably go against them. They can't stop us, cause we're ready to fight, trying to brainwash us. But we won't let freedom die. The whole world's brainwashed. Everybody think a team start a riot in the streets. The whole world's brainwashed. It's us against them, it ain't you against me. How did monkeys become people and people turned into sheep? They put fluoride in the water that's keeping us all asleep. Claim they want what's best for us, I find it hard to believe. Cause they've been selling us cigarettes since we was 18. Fake news, fake woke, distract and divide. You're either right or you're left, or you're black or you're white. Big tech don't need a microchip to hack in your life. Cause the phone inside your pocket is a tracking device. And I don't know what I'm more sick of, rappers or Joe Biden looking like he ate 100 Xanax for dinner. Cause censoring the president and kicking him off Twitter is a bigger threat to freedom than foreign ballistic missiles. You don't trust the police or the government, but you want people giving up their right to own a firearm. Why would you be comfortable if police and the government the only people on the planet with the right to buy a gun? White privilege getting amplified to reinforce division. It convinces white people that they're favored by their skin, and black people getting angry cause they're told they're treated different. So the conflict is between us and never with the system. Let's just have the conversation. Not every liberal is dumb, not all Republicans are racist. The government wants everybody fighting with their neighbors cause they know that if we get along, we'll probably go against them. They can't stop us, cause we're ready to fight, trying to brainwash us. But we won't let freedom die. The whole world's brainwashed. Everybody think a team start a riot in the streets. The whole world's brainwashed. It's us against them, it ain't you against me. Step 1, train the people only to consume. Step 2, infiltrate adults with the news. Step 3, indoctrinate the children through the schools and the music and the apps on the phones that they use. Step 4, separate the right from the left. Step 5, separate the white from the black. Step 6, separate the rich from the poor. Use religion and equality to separate them more. Step 7, fabricate a problem, made a lie. Step 8, put it on the news every night. Step 9, when people start to fight and divide, take control. This is called situational design. They can't stop us, cause we're ready to fight, trying to brainwash us. But we won't let freedom die. The whole world's brainwashed. Everybody think a team start a riot in the streets. The whole world's brainwashed. It's us against them, it ain't you against me. That they'll never shut me up, I'm making more noise. Turn me up or turn me down, it's your choice. Black lives only matter when they got a corpse to exploit. Cause the media made millions off the protests for George Floyd. That's called ad revenue, they make cash selling you all the crap in the ads while they broadcast news. Ooh, the network full of liars got investment capital and segments sponsored by Pfizer. And the freedom fighters, I feel like the left just plants them to infiltrate the right, it's extensive planning. Then it happens overnight, it's impressive branding. Make $1 million off of shirts that say let's go Brandon. It's a cash grab, everyone's a lab rat. Amazon made billions of dollars from sanitizer and black masks, and that's that. Funny how the terrorists who attack always come from places that are oil rich and have gas. Democrats, they don't give a damn. What is this about? Our military trapped in the Middle East, can't get them out. Heroes are the ones who had the Constitution written down. Y'all are using hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cents, 4. We get less and they get more. By insult since we were born. They want money. Dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. a song, it's all classified intelligence. Don't need to go to war to secretly be getting benefits. When Russia launches rockets, we condemn them, but there's evidence. A US politician owns the screws they're assembled with. Ain't no war on drugs, it's economic. You make money off an inmate, every jail cell is profit. Our prisons are privately owned, illegal marijuana just mean kids smoking weed turn to dollars in their pockets, let's be honest. Domestic threats in comparison to nuclear powers who hate the West is embarrassing. Still we label truckers in the convoy as terrorists and confiscate donations, we have no idea where it is. A pipeline leaks, price of gas goes higher. Stock market crash, everybody gets fired. Economy is weak while we trying to beat a virus. $1 trillion in debt to China. We celebrate the smallest battles we're winning, so they can publish the headline that's gonna fuel the vision. But if we champion the crumbs, then it's crumbs that we're given. And we don't make any progress, we're stuck at the beginning. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cents, 4. We get less and they get more. By insult since we were born. They want money. Dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money. I don't want your dirty money. Not enough soap to scrub, it's soaked in blood. It's all about the money, 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 money. Every time we make a buck, they take from us. It's all about the money, 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 money. The dollar runs our lives until we die. It's all about the money, 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 money. It controls your mind and they controlling mine. Dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money. I don't want your dirty money. The end is near, the television telling lies. I know for sure the revolution won't be televised. I know that we've been waiting patiently for better times. We fell asleep and men are blind, can't recognize it's genocide. Feel like the bomb about to drop out of the clouds. Another virus going airborne, go hide inside your house. Farmers watching crops die, they drying up with droughts. Angry people forming crowds and trying to burn the cities down. This is Armageddon, martial law for our protection. I talk to God but it's long distance and I lost reception. Forest fires and oil spills are the awful lessons. I'm just waiting for the devil to take over heaven. This is biblical, I swear it's in the Bible. We keep killing one another and we dying for survival. We used to fight for peace, we put our flowers in their rifles. Now we're about to be extinct, every man, woman, and child.
If it's the end of the world, I will do better next time. Oh yeah, I know it. Yeah, I know it. If it's the end of the world, I know that I have lived my life to the fullest. Yeah, the fullest. We stood on top of mountains. We've been to space before. We had our dogs and houses. We dug up dinosaurs. We built those bombs are dropping. We fought in all their wars. Now that the sky's falling, what did we do it for?
Feels like the end is near, our freedom's disappearing. People playing God, call it genetic engineering. Media misleading us and evil's interfering. While the government we need became the power that we're fearing. Our billionaires are going to space, don't blame them for leaving. Birds are falling out the air, fish washing up on our beaches. This is end times, humans got a deadline. Children are the future till we ruin them with headlines. Should be past their bedtime, but everyone's woke. They told us chase a dollar that made everyone broke. I feel like cryptocurrency is probably our last financial hope. Soon enough the government will leave your bank account froze. Judgment day is coming, you can run or you can stand and fight. Panic in the dark or lead rebellions by the candlelight. This ain't your granddaddy's planet Earth, it's black and white. The end is coming, I'll see y'all in the afterlife.
If it's the end of the world, I will do better next time. Oh yeah, I know it. Yeah, I know it. If it's the end of the world, I know that I have lived my life to the fullest. Yeah, the fullest. We stood on top of mountains. We've been to space before. We had our dogs and houses. We dug up dinosaurs. We built those bombs are dropping. We fought in all their wars. Now that the sky's falling, what did we do? It's the end of top of mountains. We've been to space before. We had our dogs and houses. We dug up dinosaurs. We built those bombs are dropping. We fought in all their wars. Now that the sky's falling, what did we do it for?
Welcome to the world, baby boy. I'll paint you red and white and blue. The indoctrination starts as soon as you come out the womb. Pretty quick, we'll make you stupid with curriculums at school. And if the classroom doesn't do the trick, we'll make you watch the news. Pick your team, right or left, take the red pill or the blue. You can vote, but even if you win, still everyone will lose. Don't forget to buy designer because Gucci makes you cool. We prioritize material belongings over truth. Get a job that you can't stand so you can buy some cans of food. Go overseas and die for freedom. There's some oil we can use. Our democracy exists so that you think that you can choose. But our algorithms make you do what we want you to do. What's the problem? Your depressed society has you confused. We got medication for you that you'll probably abuse. Go get married to a lady who also don't have a clue and pump out a few babies that are just the same as you.
Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.
Welcome to the world, baby girl. I'll paint you pink if that's okay. We'll encourage self-destruction through the music that you play. We divided all the men by trying politics and race, and honestly, it's working awesome, so for you, we'll do the same. Never teaching you to love yourself, inject you full of hate. Objectify your sexuality, then blame you for the rape. And weaponize the differences that make our men and women great. And just to screw with you, erase the genders. Everyone's the same. We'll empower you with rights to vote and fight for equal pay. Then have the men turn into women and you'll fight for them again. But you thought you had it figured out, but everything has changed. Welcome to the system. Please enjoy your stay. Here's a Bible and a bottle of the cheapest booze we make. Find a man who can take care of you to fill the holes we made. Buy a house and settle down, fulfill your duty, procreate, and make a couple babies who will also do the same.
Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.
Welcome to the world, everybody. I'ma paint you black and white. I'ma make you hate each other so that everyone will fight. I'ma give you our religion, let the righteous find the light. But I will also give you science to oppose the word of Christ. And I'ma give you borders, they're imaginary lines. If you cross them, go to war and win when everybody dies. And I'ma give you money that you'll value more than life. And let the 1% have everything while you fight to survive. And then I'll give you politics, I'll call it left and right. And while you divide yourselves, I will conquer both the sides. Can't you see? I'm the system, my whole purpose is divide. What you choose will never matter because everything is mine.
Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong. Welcome to the system, everyone's a victim. Doesn't matter if you're black or white, it hates you all. Here inside the system, violence is a symptom. Fighting for what's right, but somehow everyone is wrong.
Years ago, many years ago, in fact, 1972, I was sitting at my desk at about 4:30 in the morning at the headquarters of the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Pacific Fleet, arranging the information that had come in over the last 24 hours into a logical order so that we could prepare a briefing for the Admiral and his staff, which would take place later that morning. Among the papers I found on my desk was a document entitled Operation Majority, and it was not the entire paperwork involving this operation, but was merely a synopsis of the operation and projects contained under it. One of these projects was called Project Red Light. The purpose, according to this document, was to back-engineer captured extraterrestrial technology for adaptation into the United States space program. Now, I have since come to believe that the extraterrestrial portion of all of this is nonsense, but that the technology is real. I believe that many of us were shown these documents over the years so that later we would talk about it. I mean, how can you keep the existence of extraterrestrials, if they were real, a secret? And how could anyone keep quiet knowing that they had seen documentation, official government documents labeled top secret, that expressed that these extraterrestrials were real and had visited this Earth? I wanted to know just how true all of this was, and I began a program of research to find out if extraterrestrials were real. The first thing I did was collect every bit of documentation that I could find, both from the Freedom of Information Act, from the research of others, from books that had been printed on the subject of UFOs, and of course through my network of friends in the intelligence community. What I discovered was amazing. What I discovered, ladies and gentlemen, is that there has been a plan in existence since about 1917, and probably before that, to create an artificial extraterrestrial threat to this Earth in order to create a one-world totalitarian socialist government. One of the first documents that I found in my search was this one, the Imperial Japanese Mission 1917, a record of the reception throughout the United States of the special mission headed by Viscount Ishii. And when the Imperial Japanese Mission was in New York City, they had a dinner, and some pretty famous people spoke at this dinner. One of them was John Dewey. John Dewey is the father of our failing, disastrous public education system. Here's what he said. Listen very carefully. John Dewey, professor of philosophy in Columbia University, who was the next speaker, was listened to with great intentness. He said, quote, "Someone remarked that the best way to unite all the nations on this globe would be an attack from some other planet. In the face of such an alien enemy, people would respond with a sense of their unity of interest and purpose." Unquote. Now, bear in mind, folks, that's 1917. One of the next documents that I found, and I found quite a few, but one that's pretty important, is called a Report from Iron Mountain, the probability and desirability of permanent peace. Now, I encourage you to find this book, wherever you can find it. I don't know where you can get it, but find it. Page 66. Credibility, in fact, lies at the heart of the problem of developing a political substitute for war. This is where the space race proposals, in many ways so well suited as economic substitutes for war, fall short. The most ambitious and unrealistic space project cannot of itself generate a believable external menace. It has been hotly argued that such a menace would offer the last best hope of peace, etc., by uniting mankind against the danger of destruction by creatures from other planets or from outer space. Experiments have been proposed to test the credibility of an out-of-our-world invasion threat. And it continues on another page. Nevertheless, an effective political substitute for war would require alternate enemies, some of which might seem equally far-fetched in the context of the current war system. It may be, for instance, that gross pollution of the environment can eventually replace the possibility of mass destruction by nuclear weapons as the principal substitute for war. Are you beginning to get the message, folks? Poisoning of the air and of the principal sources of food and water supply is already well advanced, and at first glance would seem promising in this respect. It constitutes a threat that can be dealt with only through social organization and political power. But from present indications, it will be a generation to a generation and a half before environmental pollution, however severe, will be sufficiently menacing on a global scale to offer a possible basis for a solution. However unlikely some of the possible alternate enemies we have mentioned may seem, we must emphasize that one must be found of credible quality and magnitude if a transition to peace is ever to come about without social disintegration. It is more probable, in our judgment, that such a threat will have to be invented rather than developed from unknown conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, they have created so many alternate enemies in order to bring about their one-world totalitarian socialist state that we don't know which enemy to believe is real or is false, or whether to just toss them all out on their ears. And I think that that is probably going to be the best solution. Disarmament is no accident. All of these bills in Congress to take away our weapons is no accident. The intentional environmental pollution of our lakes, rivers, streams, oceans, forests, everything is no accident, as you just heard. These things were planned many, many years ago. All the bombardment of the public with movies about flying saucers in the 50s, right after the United Nations Treaty was signed and the UN Participation Act was pushed through Congress, and all of the incidents since that have convinced the majority of the American people that flying saucers are real and extraterrestrials exist, and that flying saucers are from an extraterrestrial origin. This is being promulgated in many ways, by television commercials, in the movies, in the newspapers, by creating incidents either real or imagined. I believe, because of my research and because of the extensive documentation that I've found and that is in my book, that this whole scenario has been created to give us an artificial alien threat from outer space. During the Reagan administration, he made 6 speeches, specifically talked about a threat from outer space by some other species from some other planet. 6, ladies and gentlemen. Why would the president repeat the same thing 6 times, tagged on to the ends of speeches by him? The speechwriters did not put that in the speech. Ronald Reagan added it himself.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This was a powerful suggestion to implant into the minds of the people of the world that there really is a threat from some other species, from some other planet to this earth. Now, you people out there have been ignoring the UFO phenomenon for too long. It has all the earmarks of the most successful, most sophisticated mind control operation in the history of the world, and you are ignoring it. What better way to implement a plan to bring about a one-world government than to create the possibility in the minds of the people of the world that we are being threatened from some other species, from some other planet, and do it in a way that if anybody questions it or challenged it or wants to talk about it publicly, that they are ridiculed.
And the ultimate goal is to make the earth look very small, to present the people of the world with an external threat to this earth, a superior race from some other planet, vastly superior to us in intellect, philosophy, and technology, in order to cause the dissolution of nation states, the dissolution of all existing religions, and the formation of the world totalitarian socialist government.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Werner von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer. But he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in '74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. In 1977, I was at a meeting in Fairchild Industries in a conference room called the War Room. This is 1977. And they were talking about creating a war in the Gulf region when there was $25 billion in the space-based weapons program that yet had not been identified. It wasn't called the Strategic Defense Initiative, at least, until 1983. This weapons system then had obviously been going on for some time that I didn't know anything about. So I stood up in this meeting in 1977 and it said, I'd like to know why we're talking about space-based weapons against these enemies. I'd like to know more about this. Would somebody tell me what this is about? Nobody answered. They went on with this meeting as though I hadn't said anything.
Dr. Carol Rawson is one of over 450 witnesses who have come forward with inside information that they were told to shut up about. That first clip was from the Disclosure Project Witness Testimony series on Google Video. Listen to what she says, because I believe it could be very important. Here's what she said at the Press Club in Washington in 2001.
Good morning. My name is Carol Rawson. In 1974, after being a sixth grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space. And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, no, you have to understand, this is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies, he said, against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear in the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapons system, and they're all lies. This is a system, he told me, that would never protect anyone. Even back then, he talked about suitcase bombs. He talked about chemical, viral, bacterial, biological warfare, that these space-based weapons would never protect us against. And then he told me that, in fact, if you travel around the world, which I did after he died in 1977, I met with people in over 100 countries who were friends. They didn't want to build space-based weapons. I became a space and missile defense consultant. And I worked with people around the world. I became an advisor to the People's Republic of China. They don't want to build a space-based weapons system. And he told me back then that they didn't. He said, go to Russia. They're considered to be the enemy. I got on a plane by myself. When I got to Russia, I had a list of people that I had read out of the newspaper. Chernenko was in office then. He was the only one I didn't get a chance to meet. They introduced me to everyone when I got there. And when I got back, I said, oh my Lord, this man is telling the truth. There is no threat. And I've been waiting until this day for 27 years, and I'm expecting the spin to happen, because he also explained to me that as a military strategist, as a person who worked on the MX missile, which I did later, he said, you will find that there is going to be a spin to find some enemy against whom we have to build space-based weapons. And now we should expect the spin, because he said part of the formula for the intelligence community is if they might have a weapon, then we have to consider that they do have these weapons. So now they do have these weapons, so now we have to build these weapon systems. And that's the formula, except that it's all based on a lie. And we have witnesses here today that have shown you that these extraterrestrial beings, that these craft that have come here are now not UFOs, they're identified flying objects, and we know that they have beings in them. And we have witnesses here who have told you that they can shut down our missile silos, they can stop a rocket going into space that's a test. We have witnesses here who have worked in the classified departments, who have the courage to come forward here to support what Wernher von Braun told me back in 1974 to 77. And I will testify before the Congress that when I founded the Institute for Security and Cooperation in Outer Space, which I shut down a few years ago because I didn't believe we had a chance with this huge, integrated around the world, complex weapon system, that we had any chance at all of transforming that war industry into a space industry that could provide benefits, like Dr. Greer has said, of global warming. We can end that situation of that problem. We can end the energy crisis. We can build now non-polluting technologies. Wernher von Braun used to tell me that we could have cars back then that drove around off the ground. He described this to me on beams so that we have no pollution on this planet. And we can solve the problems of the people that are urgent and potential, and the other animals and the other cultures on Earth and in space. And we can end the arms race without dislocating the industry jobs, without disrupting the economy, by transforming, Wernher von Braun told me, the war industry into a global cooperative space industry that will provide, he said, finally, more jobs and profits on this planet than during any hot or cold wartime, more products and services that can be applied directly to solving the problems of this planet. And we can have a whole planet now that lives in peace on Earth, with all the cultures on Earth and with all the extraterrestrial cultures in space. And these are words that Wernher von Braun told me in 1974, and I will testify before the Congress under oath about everything I have said and more. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Note the part about first it will be the Russians, then it will be the terrorists, then it will be, the final card will be the faked alien invasion. This is what she said back in 2001, before 9/11 happened. And those of you who have been keeping up with 9/11 and the truth movement information that has come out about the attacks know that the so-called war on terror is a complete lie, and we were never after Osama bin Laden, and that's all being exposed now, just like the fake WMDs were exposed in Iraq. Most people are too propagandized that they are unwilling to believe this and won't even look into the evidence. The rest don't care because they don't think it concerns them or because they feel powerless to do anything about it. And I tend to agree with them. The criminals who caused 9/11, who had the connections to all the inside security at the World Trade Centers and the cooperation of the intelligence community in the White House, will never be prosecuted for their crimes. They got away with it. And even if by some miracle we did open up a congressional investigation, prosecute those responsible for 9/11 and put them all in prison, it would be like putting a Band-Aid on a cancer. 9/11 was only a symptom, and we need to treat the disease. Because once the war on terror fails to give the government a reason to funnel billions of taxpayer dollars to corporate interests, they will simply find another excuse. Here we have insiders warning us that aliens will be used as the next excuse. This is why I have been warning people about the 2012 stuff, and to be very skeptical about it if and when first contact happens. Don't believe it right away. I know you'll want to. The people in charge are using all this money to build an Orwellian-style police state. This is the type of future that they feel most comfortable with, because they have always been in power, and now that they are beginning to lose their power, they are very, very scared. They don't want the kind of future that you and I want. They want everything to stay the same or go back to the way it was, and that's not going to happen. The world is changing very quickly, and it's all up to us what kind of world it will change.
The only time you get coverage on something like this is when it's authorized by the CIA and people in the intelligence community in the mainstream media, not the fringe media. So once that went mainstream, we knew that they had pulled the trigger on the false flag disclosure. So the result of it was, of course, mainstream media all over the world covering this. Now, everyone I know and the people on my team who work for the Lockheed Skunk Works and are in the aerospace industry immediately knew that those Tic Tac objects were ours, made by Lockheed Skunk Works, classified anti-gravity. Now, the dog and pony show in the mainstream media is to say, gee, we don't know what these are, that we're going to call them something new, UAPs, and have this studied agnosticism, as I call it. Well, we don't know. In fact, they do know. And so people with the To the Stars Academy, it was headed up by a band member named Tom DeLonge, but he got pulled in by members of the intelligence community and was fed all this disinformation. He was convinced the aliens were a threat. He was told that he needed to do this, and basically he was set up. And the result of it is that they were doing this to strike back across the narrative we were putting out by doing the expose of unacknowledged special access projects in the documentary Unacknowledged. So that's actually how that rolled out and why. Since then, of course, the silver lining is the subject has become okay to talk about because it's in the mainstream media all the time now, and instead of it always just being poo-pooed and debunked. The problem with it is every single story about it has a bit of information, which, say, the Tic Tac or recently the triangles over our naval destroyers that Senator Reid recently said were Russian because we had said they were man-made, so he pivoted to saying Russian. And they're actually from our classified unacknowledged special access projects from the high desert out in California and at other aerospace contractors. So the public is being deceived, and the Congress is, as have been presidents. So what's very important for people to understand is that if it's in the mainstream media, be very skeptical about the narrative and what they're actually putting out, because mostly what they're putting out are known craft that we have. Now, sitting and looking at this is, on one hand, it's gratifying to see it's being talked about seriously. On the other hand, it's very dangerous because what they're doing is putting out false information and misdirects, and attaching to each story, if you look at it carefully, the bit subliminal, that it's a national security threat. They'll use words like swarming our Navy destroyers. They'll use words like incursions into our nuclear facilities. It's all fear-based, warmongering terms. So now we're living through that false disclosure that the public thinks, oh, they're finally disclosing this. No, they're disclosing it in a way that suits their agenda. to get more money.
And with the media, just for the viewers, how are they being told, or who's telling them what to put out? It seems like when you look at the media, they're all coming with the same story.
Well, that is coordinated. Now, as you know, when Daniel Sheehan did the Pentagon Papers, and he did also many other cases, Iran-Contra, some of the most important national security cases of the last 50 years. And he saw a document in Project Mockingbird and some others that listed, back in the 70s, 42 people who were on the payroll of the CIA who were dual agents working inside the media. So one of the problems is the general public thinks we have a free press. Well, to a point. But on something this important, that top secret memos I have state is the most sensitive issue in the history of the United States, exceeding the development of the hydrogen bomb. You're going to have all manner of corruption of what we're supposed to have a free press. And as I told you, Bob Schwartz, who was on the board of Time Life, told me flat out in the 90s, the media become scribes taking dictation at the right hand of the king, which are these powerful interests who want to maintain a certain narrative. So this is where one of the problems is that how do you get this information out if the mainstream media has been corrupted and is being directed in a certain area? Only cover things that are half-truths. That's what the media's doing. And always put this spin on it that it's a threat to our national security. Where does that lead? Right to what Wernher von Braun, who invented the rocket, said, that they will play this last card, and that last card will be an alien threat to unite the world around a militaristic global of response in space. And we're right at that inflection point. I mean, this is a really big thing that's happening right now.
A group of leaders on the absolute cutting edge of innovation, including many CEOs from the world's most successful businesses.
Yeah, but you know, EG&G, one of the plants is on the edge of the Area 51. They're the ones manufacturing the implants that you're taking out of these abduction victims. You know, you don't need an RF frequency plant chip to track anybody. They're not coming from outer space. They don't need that. If you're interstellar, you're transdimensional because their technologies are way beyond that. I said, this is human.
Project Bluebeam at one time or another. Now, for those of you that don't know what Project Bluebeam is, it is a military project working with the hidden hand, the dark government, the deep state, the elites, whatever you want to call them, where they will use holographic projectors along with voice-to-skull technology.
When you're so tied into these technologies, you're not really seeing what's going on in the real world. All the things that are going on today, like surveillance, hacking of phones.
The intelligence community, what I discovered was amazing. There has been a plan in existence since about 1917 to create an artificial extraterrestrial threat to this Earth in order to create a one-world totalitarian socialist government.
Of Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is a top-secret operation of the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA for short, of the United States of America. Project Bluebeam is divided into 4 steps.
A man that I worked with before his death had developed an electronic system in 1956 that would enable someone electronically to remote view anywhere.
This was taken right up the road from me in Maine, the state of Maine. And it's an incredible rectangular moon. This right here appears to be a fake moonrise going horribly wrong. That is not a round rock in the sky.
Just monitoring it through your laptop, all of this kind of thing. One of the big problems is that the vast majority of the population aren't complaining about it. They just get on with their lives.
Nevertheless, an effective political substitute for war would require alternate enemies, some of which might seem equally far-fetched in the context of the current war system. It may be, for instance, that gross pollution of the environment can eventually replace the possibility of mass destruction by nuclear weapons as the principal substitute for war.
I'll come outside to look at this because it looks like a sun ray at sunset. The sun's already set, so I'm thinking it's just an unusual sun ray.
And they were developed decades ago. Now, how hard is it to deploy them? Not hard. And they're not used every day. They're used enough to create a groundswell of conviction that there's an alien threat. So you take that capability, combine it with man-made UFOs, combine it with disinformation in general about the subject, and also certain chemicals, and you can launch an entire...
Step 1. The first step in the NASA Bluebeam project concerns the breakdown of all archaeological knowledge. We will see more and more hoax discoveries, where these new discoveries will finally explain to all people the error of all fundamental religious doctrines. The falsification of this information will be used to make all nations believe that the religious doctrines have been misunderstood for centuries.
That is not a normal, I mean, what is that? The top of a mushroom? You know what I'm saying? It simply looks like a glitch in the matrix. Project Bluebeam isn't working properly.
Holograms on a battlefield would be to divert the attention of the enemy, to deliver propaganda or
contagion of fear that's based on completely man-made false events.
Advanced technologies, and all these talks about microchips. The military started doing a lot of research into sort of implanting chips in troops, and also, sort of even like cyborg technology, integrated into the troops as well.
Poisoning of the air and of the principal sources of food and water supply is already well advanced, and at first glance would seem promising in this respect. It constitutes a threat that can be dealt with only through social organization and political power.
Step 2. The second step is about creating a gigantic space light show with 3D holograms and sounds, laser projections of multiple holographic images. You'd think holograms are science fiction. Just Google 3D hologram on YouTube.
UFO phenomenon. It has all the earmarks of the most successful, most sophisticated mind control operation in the history of the world, and you are ignoring it.
Step 3. The third step is a telepathic electronic two-way communication with extra low frequency, very low frequency, powerful waves which are able to reach everyone on Earth. Using H8ARP wave technology, ELF-H8ARP waves can be directly projected into the brain, causing the brain to receive messages.
something very frightening to make the enemy run away. If you think that he will believe that what you're sending is really an angel, a devil, a UFO.
That very well possibly there's going to be an alien invasion. Mm-hmm. And the government knows it.
Right.
And consequently, they are trying to prepare the people.
Create the possibility in the minds of the people of the world that we are being threatened from some other species, from some other planet, and do it in a way that if anybody questions it or challenged it or wants to talk about it publicly, that they are ridiculed.
They wanted to see how the people will react if the people really thought that there was an alien invasion from another world. It was called War of the Worlds.
Step 4. Electronic universal supernatural manifestation designed to deceive will create the following illusion. Make mankind believe an alien invasion is imminent. How are they going to project the images on the sky? Well, if this is your question, then you have to get back to step 2, and research on 3D holograms.
In this historical time of awakening, there are now millions of souls across the earth witnessing a powerful hidden hand manipulating humanity. Hidden, so it has no name. so it does not exist in the minds of labels and names. Hidden in the shadows. We will call it the Cabal. This Great Awakening is the greatest threat the Cabal has ever faced. And we have seen this criminal cabal deploy false flag after false flag to maintain their greatest power, invisibility. Here we will explore the most dire false flag event imaginable, the fake alien invasion. The alien UFO phenomena can be traced back for millennia. We could spend days going through the entire alien UFO mystery with all its fascinating half-truths and misinformation, but these details have been made into a distraction. What matters is if it's possible. Is the threat real? The technology exists. Before World War II, Nikola Tesla died, and we are told by the FBI that his groundbreaking technologies disappeared. After the start of World War II, Dr. Walter Gerlach, an expert on the fluorescence of mercury ions in the strong magnetic field, was brought onto the highly classified Die Glocke project, otherwise known as the Bell. Surviving documents suggest that the Bell involved strange anti-gravity and time-altering effects. After the war, the entire project disappeared. Several Nazi scientists came to America under Operation Paperclip, where many of them joined Freemason astronauts and Jack Parsons' Satanist rocket fuel scientists to form NASA. Prior to this, the Invention Secrecy Act of 1951 was enacted, which allowed the U.S. government to suppress any new technology deemed a threat to the country. This led to the suppression of Stanley Meyer's water-fueled car, John Hutchinson's mysterious Hutchison effect, and as of 2010, over 5,000 inventions have been rendered secret. Through all this time, UFO sightings became more common. The entire alien UFO phenomena becomes a part of pop culture. The U.S. military develops direct energy weapons. Inexplicable damage seen at the World Trade Center 9/11 attacks and the California wildfires suggest some type of advanced weapon technology that has the ability to melt glass and steel and burns homes into a pulverized footprint of powdered ash. Whistleblowers with Stephen Greer's ongoing disclosure project have witnessed government projects wherein civilians are abducted in fake alien abduction scenarios. They have seen the top secret UFO-type crafts that our military is developing, and they claim it would easily fool the public as being alien technology. If the Cabal were to deploy the fake alien invasion, it could be game over. The mask mandates have revealed how easily compliant the population is. They will believe whatever they are told, and the rest of us could be wiped out within weeks with direct energy weapons and whatever else they have up their sleeve. We are now seeing a sort of disclosure, as if they are preparing us, continuing to warn us of the alien threat. We know the Cabal has the will to do this, and it seems they have the means as well. But if we can destroy this evil cancer, then humanity has a chance. For Infowars.com, this is Greg Reese.
You're saying the government has created weather tampering techniques so that the, quote, New World Order will be able to starve millions of Americans.
Worldwide.
Millions of Americans, and to control the rest.
Yes, sir, and that's my belief. As bizarre as that sounds, if somebody had told me that equipment even existed 10 years ago, I would have thought they were nuts, sir. And at this point in time, we have all the documents to prove it. And if you think that 85 tornadoes takes place in the middle of our growing area by simultaneous accident, I'm sorry. With the equipment that's already set up internationally, and as bizarre as that is, it is proven and documented. We will supply you with those documents. As bizarre as that is, I would say that weather wars, and this is quoting actually Senator Claiborne Pell himself, that they are the greatest weapon ever created in the world, and that's the senator's own statement. So yes.
The more you go up in that pyramid, and the highest you could go is a Rothschild.
Right.
They're the highest of the highest.
Really?
Yeah, they're the satanic children of Satan.
Wow.
They actually sit on a table and they have a special chair for Satan right there. And he comes and talks to these family members, and they're the ones that, the shaken and bakers, I call it.
Now, this all has to do also with the those people who go out into the wood and they burn that wooden owl and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about those, the Illuminati.
Illuminati, okay. So
right.
This has to do with them?
Oh, yeah, you have to be a Freemason to be that. All the presidents were Freemasons.
Okay.
A small portion weren't, but they were Jesuits. It's just the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, even the Pope. They don't, and I'm going to be honest, they don't actually have to do the whole ritual. They have to watch.
Right.
And because of their power and rank within the church.
But it's still controlled by
oh, yeah, everything is controlled by the white and black Pope.
Yeah.
So black and white, which is white and black tiles, is where we have our temple.
That's where you get that.
Yeah, the yin yang, you know, the good versus evil. You got to have one of the balance. And that's the work of the devil. God doesn't work that way. He doesn't manifest that way. That's all the trick of the devil. You know, the devil knows the Bible better than me and you put together. Because he was there when God was putting it together. And of course he fell, of course, but he knows.
Yeah.
He could twist the word of God and make it so clean like honey in your mouth. And say, well, this guy is a man of God. But no, you got to go beyond that, honey.
Right.
You got to go around it and do your research. Because they're going to give themselves up. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys and women, men and women that work in Hollywood, they're all Satanists.
I bet.
All of them are Satanists. And you know what? Anybody could tell me different. I really don't care because I know. Certain hand signs that you do, you know, the pyramid, the rock, you know, Jay-Z calls this the rock. It's a pyramid.
Right.
All right? But in that pyramid, there's 13.
Right. You also got the, what was this?
Well, that's the horns of the devil.
Right.
The devil's horns, yeah. And, you know, that's Illuminati. You could use it for the Shriners use it too.
Right.
That's the Moloch.
Okay.
Moloch is the actual owl that they worship out in California. All these big shots, big corporations, they go there. And that's where they make the presidents too.
Really?
They make presidents there. They know which president they're going to make. They make them. All this political stuff, that's just BS. That's bullshit.
Why?
That is bullshit. That is the most deceiving thing in America. They know which the Rothschilds makes the presidents. They're trillionaires. They own the world. They own like 90% of the world.
Yeah, and plus, if you have all these superstars and all these actors,
control their puppets.
Well, and not only that, they got the money to buy land.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually, it's going to be one government.
Yes.
Or one secret government, should I say, the Illuminati or the Masons.
Right.
Who will control all this land.
But see, the Masons are the foot soldiers of the Illuminati. You understand the pyramid, right?
Yes, yes.
It's shaped like a triangle, right? So we're at the very bottom.
At the very bottom.
And then above that, you got different families. You know, different. Above that, you got York Rite, Scottish Rites, which are also sets of different branches of Freemasons. And then you go into Knights Templar, and you got, you know, so Shriners.
I guess that's where you get the All-Seeing Eye from.
The All-Seeing Eye is Lucifer.
Right.
Underneath them is the Rothschilds. Underneath them is the Council of 13. Or the Council of 33. Or 13. No, 13. Underneath them, you got the Council of 33. Underneath them, you got big, you know, different corporations like the CFR.
Wow.
The Council of Foreign Relations. And underneath them, you got, you know, like 6 big companies that own all the, they own all the real estate, and they own all, like, media outfits, you know, like, I said media, they own all different types of...
Yeah, like those people who are like Warren Buffett who owns...
Well, yeah, he's a 33rd.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they own, you know, property, they own land, they own...
Stocks, everything. Yeah.
Everything. So you got 6 corporations in the world that owns 90% of the assets and the money of the world, right? So even the Federal Reserve is not of the United States. It's a separate entity that's ran by the Rothschilds. See, the Rothschilds, they run all that from their house. Wow. And they live out in England. They don't leave that house.
Yeah, I heard something about that.
They don't leave the house.
Why is that? I mean, is there
because that's where the devil dwells. Gotcha. The devil could only be in one place. God is everywhere.
Yeah.
You understand?
True. Yeah, because God is he's
everlasting.
He's omnipresent.
Yeah, he's everywhere. You can't put God in there, sir.
Yeah,
he's too big.
And you can't have the devil everywhere. You know, he's limited to his power.
One spot.
Amen.
Well, he'll use his foot soldiers to do other things.
Exactly.
They're all demons. They're all demon possessed. They're vessels. They're fleshly vessels. There are compartmentalized. They're like shattered. They shatter their brains, and it's just like MK Ultra, right? They use MK Ultra to break the minds of people, and then they mold them the way that they want them to go.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Or satanic ritual abuse. That all comes together with the Freemasons.
So their ultimate goal is pretty much to have one world order,
one world religion,
and one world
currency. Yep.
To eventually rule the world.
Rule the world, right?
Which is to usher in also the
Antichrist.
The Antichrist, mark of the beast, and so
Mark
on.
of the beast, right?
So you've seen all this firsthand.
Yeah. Oh yeah, firsthand. I mean, I've seen the rituals. I see where they imitate them trying to kill you.
Wow.
You know, when you get in your masters, they put you like they simulate that they're stabbing you, and they killing you like Tubal Cain. You know.
So in other words, like you almost have to, kind of like the way we have to be reborn.
Yes, they're making a mockery out of baptism.
Right, and it's actually reversed. And you know what? The devil works like that because. So if we have to be reborn, they pretty much say you have to
die first.
You have to kill yourself for the devil. Yeah. Wow.
So just like like the satanic baptism, they baptize them in blood and in a cast iron bathtub.
Right.
If you see the videos that you see, like this girl named Rihanna is one of them, that she's done blood sacrifices and she's done a blood baptism, but they won't show blood in the bathtub. They show water, but it's symbolic. The water, their water, is symbolic to blood.
Right.
And they have to get in that bathtub. Even Eminem, you see him on one of those magazines. He's just leaning back, bare chested, with blood up to his stomach.
Wow.
In a cast iron, bathtub, and that's how they do their rituals. Everything is backwards.
Who's the other guy? I know there's a lot of them.
A lot of them. Yeah.
Was it Lil Wayne?
Lil Wayne is another. That's the most satanic one around.
Right,
him, Little Baby, the one that promotes him. He's a pedophile.
Wow.
Oh yeah, they're all homosexuals. They have to be like the Baphomet. Like is it above? Like is it below? You see the Baphomet?
Yes. He has 4 arms. Something like that.
No. That's Hindu. I'm talking about the Baphomet is the god of the Knights Templar.
Okay, I'll post the picture as you're saying this.
Yeah.
I'll post the picture.
It's a goat's face with horns.
Right.
Has breast of a woman and the remaining lower half of man, and then the feet of a goat.
Wow.
So they worship that. That's Lucifer. All right. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
They eat fecal matter. They drink urine. I mean, it's disgusting. I never did that. I never got that high up to do nothing like. But when you're up there and they expose everything to you at the 30th to the 33, it's you're done. You're selling yourself to the devil at that point.
And then not only that, you're sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, you sworn never to divulge any information, but to always protect and help your fellow brother. That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was the first step, and then what was the second?
The second is fellowcraft. That's the second degree, fellowcraft. Okay. Same kind of rituals, but it's now you go from raising your pants, like trousers on the right. Now you're gonna do it on the left, and now you got a different ankle toe with a ball.
Man, that's crazy.
And then you blindfolded. They take you, the actual officer. They call them officers, the ushers. I call them ushers. They usher you around, and you got to bow where you have to bow, and you got to, do what you got to do, and then make you face the worshipful master of the east, the worshipful master of the west. This specific part in the lodge, it's empty, and that's the north. You never face the north, which it resembles where the Lord is at.
Right.
They say that God is, straight up north, but they don't make you do nothing with that. It's just like senseless rituals, you know. And you want your ego to get through. Your ego to get your ring, you know, your token.
Yeah.